Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes Paul. People might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal!
Good evening, everyone, to your latest Wolves Fancast episode. I'm your host, Little Dan. On tonight's show, I've got with me Jeffo, Pricey, and Stu. And before we all start singing the well-renowned Jose Mourinho chant, this show is in association with the Sports Social Podcast Network and FCQUIZ.APP. Less than 24 hours ago, Wolves unfortunately suffered defeat yet again, but this time to Julian Lopetegui's West Ham, 2-1 at the London Stadium. Earlier on today, John Percy unleashed another one of his Percy bombers, which decimated half of Chernobyl Wolves. The other half is ready to implode at any given moment. In his article today on the Telegraph, he mentioned Gary O'Neill will be given the chance to reverse Wolverhampton Wanderers' alarming run of results and retains the immediate backing of the club. Wolves have been seeking replacements for the 41-year-old, but it's been decided that Gary O'Neill will receive their support to turn the situation around. The Wolves board do not believe Gary O'Neill is solely responsible for the club's struggles this season and will make funds available to sign new players when the transfer window opens next month. There is an acknowledgement at board level that at least one centre-half must be signed in January following the £40 million sale of Max Kilman to West Ham and the season-ending injury to Yersa Mosquera. Furthermore, comments, Gary O'Neill said, "I am not concerned about my position. Whenever this journey ends with Wolves, I'll be proud of it. I am really proud of the group and everything they have given me. I can only ask them to keep giving their best. We won't give up and we'll keep pushing." Stu, your thoughts on the situation currently happening at Molineux? Where do you stand on Gary O'Neill's position as head coach at the club? Go.
I think it's gone past the kind of common sense stage now. It's almost delirium. It's so ridiculous that it is full laugh and not cry now. After Everton, I thought, oh, there's no way. There's not a chance in hell. And after that reaction, and then you come to yesterday and you see him almost in tears at the end, and then he comes out talking about how he's sad that he's lost the fans. And I actually felt quite sorry for the bloke. I thought, no, this is how he gets you. It's his nonsense, it's his stupid tactics and his inability to set up a defence that's got us in this situation. But there's, as always, with this farcical nonsense of a club that we have, there's bigger problems, isn't there? And the fact that he's still here, rather than having a caretaker, because it was so bad last time we did this, and that no one wants to come here because it's so awful. I said it earlier, I can't remember anything as farcical as this ever happening in 30 odd years of supporting Wolves. And we've had shitness and levels of terrible, ridiculous decisions, but in kind of clown show levels, today has kind of surpassed anything we've ever seen.
Jeffo, it's not even a week since that devastating result 4-0 away to Everton on that Thursday morning at 9 a.m. It was baffling how Gary O'Neill had survived, yet we're still a week on, and an even more devastating result last night. Are you of the opinion that there's just no going back for Gary O'Neill as head coach? Do you still believe yourself that he should still be in this job regardless of whether the board are trying to share some of the responsibility?
I think it's got to the untenable position now. I mean, it's hard to back something that where he's had the time, and he has had time now. He's had a full transfer window. He's had that full summer, even though they kind of fucked that up. That, you know, he's had the chance to build his own team and his image, and he spent quite a sizable amount of money or potential future money in some players. To where he should be getting results, and there's no excuses. When he's had the chance to put his stamp on this team and to develop it and put the coaching on a day-to-day basis for, we're coming up on 18 months now, something like that, maybe just shy, but it's a long time, and he's there every day with the players, and it obviously isn't working because it's been the last 6 months has just been the same mistakes repeated over and over and over again. I give him the benefit of the doubt for a hell of a long time because of where we got with the first half of last season. But where we are now, and the fact that we can't sort of turn the corner and stop a rot after a couple of wins, and we can't build on that confidence, it's difficult for you to back him. And like I say, I think his position is totally untenable.
Do you go along with that mindset, Price, that it's become untenable? Jeff, I did mention that we've got to a stage now where there's no excuses for the bad run of results. Gary's got his excuses fully well lined up. He had a couple more last night. It's clear that he hasn't been backed, and there is strong resemblances to how Bruno Lage's tenure ended now for me with Gary O'Neill, with the lack of recruitment, the lack of backing, especially in January transfer windows when there are moments to push on as a club. But where do you stand with Gary at the helm?
You know what, it was almost like we said, you listen to what he was talking, how he was talking yesterday, and you just think, just put the guy out of his misery. He's just like an injured, wounded animal you found on the side of the road. Just put it out of his misery, because he's got to be coming to work every day thinking, I know they don't want me, but like Jeff and the board, because I know they want to get rid of me. But the fact is that we all know that no one at the minute will accept the job on Fosun's terms. That's exactly why Gary O'Neill still finds himself in the job with us. My blame, I've kind of shifted it away from Gary O'Neill in a way, just firmly started on Jeff and Fosun again. It's just absolute calamity from them. I mean, you can see they're trying to do like the Brighton model, aren't they? Sell players and try and find the diamonds in the rough. But Brighton's the only team that managed to do that properly over the last X amount of years, and we've tried it, and we just sell players and don't replace them, and we're just getting needless, unnecessary players in their place. So Gary's just been given, he's got the tools, got to work with. He hasn't acquitted himself, at the best at times. We've won how many league games since Coventry? About 4, probably. I mean, no, I can't think of any other situation or any other club where a guy would have this many losses on his record since March of this year and still be in a job. I can't think of many other. I mean, Everton have their own car crash circuses all the time, and even they get rid of managers, and we somehow have still got O'Neill at the helm purely because no one else will take this job right now. Literally, it's unsellable, this job, to anyone. Anyone that we know that I've said before, I've just said that Jeff, he's been talking to people in the background, which obviously, every time O'Neill has to field these questions in interviews, it's got to be embarrassing for him, surely to God, but all he can do is just keep turning up, and at least publicly the players say that they're right behind him. But I suppose they will say that, won't they? But I don't know. I say it's just like I put on next earlier. It's past the anger stage now. It's just literally laughable. It's like the worst circus you've ever been to in your life, and all you can do is just laugh at the tragedy that's just unfolding in front of us. I mean, like I said, I've said this before on this podcast, and I'll say it again now. They, as in Fosun, should be thanking that we're not German, because if this happened to a German club, the fans would be like, there would be riots, there'd be protests, there'd be stalk, people wouldn't turn up to games, anything. But we're English football fans, we just take it and keep paying and turning up.
Yeah, that season ticket pricing increase in the summer really set the precedent for where this season was going to go for me. The vibes that came out of the club, that Jeff Shee was physically and verbally annoyed at the actual uptake of people who actually renewed at the season ticket prices, is unfathomable. It's circus, car crash, however you want to describe it at the moment. It just don't. I said to someone earlier that the thing for me, when I can take banter when it comes to Wolves, because there's usually like light at the end of the tunnel, but I can't see any light at the moment. It just seems like a really devastating decline that we're heading on. I've said it before, and Josh quoted me on Twitter last night. We're the type of club to get double dip relegation because of the way how toxic we are, and the toxicity
Absolutely.
stems from the ownership. Paul Dudley's made a decent comment, obviously in the YouTube comment section. Fosun aren't shipping 2 goals a game. Fosun aren't giving away penalties for fun, and Fosun aren't the ones playing in the defence. They have blame 100%, but Gary O'Neill should be seeing us mid-table with these players. I mentioned it just that.
Completely agree.
Similar resemblances to Bruno Lage's tenure last January when Wolves was in the hunt for the European places. They didn't back him in January, similar to when Bruno Lage was in charge that January after we beat Brentford away. They let Adama go to Barcelona. We never brought anyone in. And then another summer of, let's be truthful, poor recruitment. Players that were brought in as future financial commodities instead of actually being ready-made players for our starting 11. It's coming back to bite yet another head coach, and you can see why Lopetegui left. And yet again, people at the club, whether it's Gary O'Neill, possibly Matt Hobbs in the near future, Scott Sellers previously, there's too many people who've taken bullets for Jeff Shea. Until that guy is not at the helm of this club, we're on a decline. And Fosun, whether there's any future possibility of us being sold, who knows? But that's the situation that we're in now, and I think it's only going to get worse until Fosun sell up. Let's quickly go back to around 6:30 last night when the team lineup came out, Stu, and you saw more defenders than a barrister commission. Doherty, Semedo, Breno, Totti, and Aït-Nouri. Looked like a sort of an 8-man defence with Lamina and Andre and João Gomes. But then I jokingly said in the group, it looked like João Gomes was just playing right midfield as it kicked off. And just, I said on our social media, it was basically like Gary O'Neill had picked 11 names out of a hat and threw something together at 6:30, 7:15 last night at kick off. Your thoughts on that lineup and system?
I mean, I kind of foolishly thought, okay, fine. Let's just play back 5. Let's just be sensible again. Let's just play to what these players know what to do. Let's not piss about anymore. Let's just go back to our this Wolves DNA of the last 6 years. Play with a back 5, not mess about anymore. And then the lineup come out, and I thought, okay, well, this 3-man midfield still hasn't worked once this season with these 3 players. Oh well. It's got to surely work once somewhere, and maybe against West Ham, this is the time to do it. And then, like you said, then that Sky graphic come out, and I thought, well, Sky graphics are never normally the kind of the be all and end all, are they? They do get it wrong sometimes. I thought, well, surely not, because that is stupid, and it clearly doesn't make any sense. And then they were 100% correct. And yeah, and you are right. It is Tom Bowler time. I mean, we've said this before. Not just with Gary O'Neill, we've said it with other managers as well towards the end, where it's flinging shit up the wall and seeing what sticks. It's the kind of time where it's desperation. And you look and you think, well, the Cunha situation since that Fulham game where he's been piss poor, no one wants to talk about that. But he looks up his own arse now, out of nowhere. I don't think it's doing too much anymore. I think he's smelling his own farts, and there's something not right there. Same with Aït-Nouri. But Stranded Larson, someone put, I think it was Eddie who put in the group yesterday. Couldn't put it better myself. Completely isolated. And when you look at that lineup, you think, well, you're playing one of your defensive midfielders on the right wing, effectively, with wing backs. Who knows what he was supposed to be doing? He doesn't know. He said it in an actual video that the club put out that he can't play in a 3-man midfield, and yet this nonsense still continues. And now he was looking to stay on the pitch in the end. But you look at it, and it's just, like I said earlier, it's laughable now. It's like how much more ridiculous can it possibly get? And every week it kind of escalates to a ridiculous degree. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Dan Bentley's played outfield. That's where we are.
I jokingly said that before the West Ham game, that being like Dan Bentley and Tom King at the moment and not getting a game in front of Jose Sarr and Sam Johnson recently, they must be scratching their heads, but that's a completely different story. Jeff, you've coached all different age brackets. What was the biggest crime for you with that system yesterday?
I think you already touched on it whilst you mentioned it about the Joe Gomez thing. It's ridiculous. I hate managers putting square pegs in round holes. It's a pet peeve. But to take somebody who is essentially what he's known for is breaking up play and shielding a back four and putting him on the right wing is one of the most laughable and outrageous managerial decisions I've ever seen. You've got Hwang Hee-chan. I know he's not in form, but he's a forward. You've got Bellegarde on the bench who can play in that position. You've got other players involved within that squad who can play in that position. Yet you play a defensive midfielder in an attacking role and essentially as a right winger. It is beyond laughable. It is pathetic at this point. And I think it was Price who talked about a manager a few back and talked about the tombola, and Stu mentioned it then. And it is very much a tombola. He's just picking names out of a hat now, and I've defended Gary O'Neill for the longest time because we could see improvements in individuals, but he hasn't got the minerals and the brain to be a manager. He's a very good coach, and I won't take that away from him. Even now, he's still a very good coach, but he hasn't got the aptitude and the ability to tactically go against some of the best in the world. You know, Lopetegui, he's managed Real Madrid. He's managed the Spain national side. He's not an idiot. He might not be having the best time at West Ham, but he is a tactical manager, somebody who thinks about the game on many, many levels. You can't go up against somebody like that and play players out of position. It doesn't work. It's never going to work. Especially at Premier League level, it's an embarrassment.
Yeah, I've said previously that I think his lack of experience is coming home to roost a bit with him this season, whether it's tactically in certain games or some of the comments that has come out in the media. I feel like his inexperience has really cost him. And you look at sort of Wayne Rooney at Plymouth, and he's brought Mike Phelan in as assistant manager this week. It might have been that sort of situation with Gary O'Neill that he needs more of an experienced head next to him. Sean Derry hasn't coached at this higher level previously, and I mentioned that when they first took over, that there was always going to be a ceiling for this group of coaching staff, and I think we're really seeing that, especially defending set piece at the moment. Price, when that system came out, I sort of understood the back five with Semedo and Doherty as sort of centre half, right wing back, wherever it was going to be played out. But like Jeff and Stu mentioned, João Gomez in that more advanced position. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, there's not too much more to add with João Gomez thing, Stu and Jeff have covered it quite nicely. But I remember when it came up, I took a screen grab of the sky formation, put it in the group, and just like I had to put a laughable emoji or a confused emoji. I can't remember which one, because we was all saying, "There's no way João Gomez could be playing there, no way." And then it turned out he just did. I mean, like Jeff says, this is where O'Neill just doesn't do himself any favours whatsoever, because no right-minded manager would do that, And then you look at the defence and you just think it's just fragile. And Santi Bueno is probably our best defender, right? I think we can probably majority of us can get on board with that. But O'Neill's been naive with the comments in public about him as well, openly saying he lacks physicality. He's already said Bueno already knows the club have wanted to loan him out if we get a replacement in. Now the manager's openly saying, he's good, but he hasn't got the physicality for the Premier League. I was thinking, God, this guy just want to have a break from Wolves. He just wants to get away. But I mean, it's not as I put on X yesterday. Our defence at the minute is like a couple of sandbags in a flash flood. It just can't stop goals going in. I mean, with a back three of Doc, Breno, and Totti, it's just not scratch, is it? It's not up to sniff at the minute. So I was just a bit dismayed, if I'm honest, when I saw the team lineup. Like you said, Dan, there's just you could maybe argue 3 attacking players on that pitch if you count Ait-Nouri. Acuna, Larson, and Ait-Nouri is what you would class as attacking players in that team in a game that we all believed was El Sacchio. We thought whoever loses this game is out of a job. It turns out it's weird, in a weird twist of fate, they both survived. But I don't know. This is where, like I say, O'Neill doesn't do himself any favours from the old tactics Tom Bowler point of view. It's a man who's just desperately trying to find something that fits. You know, for the how long this has gone on. The run of bad form, 2 unconvincing league. Well, Fulham, you could say, was a convincing win, but there were caveats around that. But just the bad run that's gone on so long, it's just like he's just trying to find something that fits. But I mean, sticking your pitbull midfielder as a support striker, it just doesn't. It just smacks him a desperate man, really.
And that desperate man probably may have been ahead at half time, Stu, because the man we just spoke about, João Gomez, probably had our best opportunity in the first half with a great move where Strand Larsen spreads it wide to Doherty in a first time cross. João Gomez in sort of a left centre forward position at the back post manages to screw one wide, but it was a good move. But what was your thoughts on the first half? Because we knew it was going to be an ugly game. 2 teams low on confidence, both teams knowing that their manager's job we all thought was on the line last night. But your thoughts on that first half?
I mean, the fella only fell asleep kind of doesn't say the best thing about it, does it really? But again, we weren't getting battered, so that's a plus. But probably for that reason, like you just said, because it was so tense and because no one really wants to be in that shithole on a Monday night anyway. A lot of West Ham season ticket holders didn't bother turning up, as you can see, for all the white seats. It was silent by the sounds of things, and it looked cold as anything, and there was nothing going on for either side. But again, like you just said, that if we had someone like Guedes there, even Forbes, who I don't particularly like, and maybe Bellegarde as well, anyone else, anyone with any kind of attacking flair or attacking parts of their game, would have probably put that ball away. But like we said, you put a defensive midfielder there who, yeah, he scored a decent goal, a couple of goals at Spurs last year, but it's not his game. It's not his game. Why are we relying on players like that where we've got actual options? In a part of the field that we have got options that are not being utilised for whatever reason. But the first, I thought, weirdly enough, saying that, yeah, as usual, we had spells where it wasn't too bad, and we did look the tight passing when we didn't give the ball away looked all right, but it's never consistent, is it? Like the whole season, it's never been consistent for more than 10 minutes, and we going into half time like that. I thought, okay, fine, we're not being thrashed, which is a bonus. But the fact that it's come to that says everything.
Yeah, a West Brom fan obviously went out of his way to pull me up on a tweet that I released in pre-season last night where I showed the goal that we scored against Red Bull Leipzig, which, if you remember correctly, was probably about 20 or 30 passes before Rodrigo Gomez headed in at the back post. I went with the line at the time, Gary O'Neill gives you wins, which was a play on words because he was against Red Bull Leipzig. So we all know that this team can play football. And as you said, there was spells within that game yesterday where we did move the ball pretty well. But then classic Wolves in this Gary O'Neill run of bad results reared its head just into second half. And Thomas Souček, who I said was an absolute banker for a goal score anytime. I mean, it's just woeful defending right from the off, isn't it, Jeffo? We all knew that Thomas Souček was going to be a threat from set pieces. 4 Wolves players just not picking up the Czech Republic midfielder, and a looped header over a static Sam Johnston, and just your thoughts on that goal without throwing yourself under the next tram.
Yeah, I think, as you said, it was laughable again, and it's the same again. It's like watching the same video on repeat, or waking up every night and waking up to TV fuzz. It's maddening to see the same goals come in over and over again, and they just seem to be like on a video loop. You watch goals conceded from set pieces, and you think, okay, how do we learn? How do we improve? And then you allow, arguably, West Ham's best man from a set piece to score a header, and to be free at the back post. It's stupid, and it's at the point now where it's so obvious that it's going to happen, or we're going to see something like that happen, that it's not even painful to see anymore. And I want to just loop back just quickly as well, because you said about the Leipzig game. Ironically, the Leipzig game, he played 2 in midfield, and he played everyone in a proper position where they're supposed to play. So it's pre-Andre. Let's just bring that out there as well.
Yeah, it's. I am close to losing my tether. It's come close a few times. There was tears building up last night at how bad we've become as a club. I said earlier that there's just no light at the end of the tunnel for me at this moment. I don't know how the manager's still in the role that he's within. The chairman is, for me, completely out of his depth. And if you looked at the thumbnail for tonight's show, how to run a football club badly by industry leaders like Jeff Shee is dismantled all the sort of football know-how people they had by the side of him when he took over. Obviously, our squad's been decimated season upon season, and I've not met a Wolves fan at the moment who isn't disheartened. It's just devastating. And then you see the way that we're conceding goals. Is it something like we're averaging a goal a game now where we're conceding from a set piece?
It's two in more than 2 goals a game in 12 of 15 or something like that. What in Doc put out earlier.
Yeah, Wolves have conceded 38 goals in 15 Premier League games. Wolves are averaging a goal a game this season and conceding from set pieces. Wolves have conceded 2 or more times in 15 games.
Yeah.
I've said Sunday League managers get sacked for less. He might go on to be a good coach, like Jeffo said, but the run that we're on, is it now 3 wins in 26? Is it something like that? How he's survived this long suggests that, to me, Fosun have got no intention to take this club forward. They don't want to pay him off. Any manager who has put himself forward for the job, they don't want to pay what's needed. Jokingly, the rumour came out earlier on today that we'd offered £5 million for Jose Mourinho. I'll grow an arsehole in my forehead if Jose Mourinho came towards, because it's comical. Like someone said, it's silly season. Price, I said in our group, didn't know that Souček anytime was an absolute banker, but the manner in which we conceded that goal, your thoughts on that?
Thoughts being that, do you remember when we had a set piece coach and he was shit? And we've got even worse since we got rid of him. By the looks of it, this set piece coach. You know what? I can't remember the guy's name. He was here in the blink of an eye. But what more can be said about it? It's just shocking, and it's just how when he makes a connection with a header, everyone, including Johnson, just stands and watches it, just aimlessly dribble into the goal. It's like, you know where Chris Wood's header against Man United the other day. It's where everyone just watched that just go into the corner of the goal. It's not too overly too dissimilar from that. It's a looping header that people just watch, just gently drop into the net, like the ball's just possibly gone through the winds. It just drops in the bottom corner. It's just, I mean, O'Neill said it himself. Apparently, they've worked on it all week, which seems like utter bollocks when you get to game time. You watch that happen, because there's no way if what Gary O'Neill says was true and they've worked on that all week, that just doesn't happen, does it? No. Completely free header for their number one target man at set pieces, and it's just looped in the bottom corner. It's just laughable. And like I said, the game, it was kind of at that point, neither team could really lay a claim to be completely on top at that point. So to give away the opening goal in such a laughably easy manner, just from a supporter's point of view, it's just massive heads drop then, because you think, well, just completely took the wind out of our sails with that.
I mean, if you look at it from a West Ham point of view, I think it's King Kilman who actually does a great job blocking off a run towards Souček.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And you look at it and you think, okay, I know Dan doesn't particularly like him for some reason, but we knew his game. And you look at it, and last season we conceded 10 goals from set pieces all season. 10. In the entire 38 games, 10 goals. With the same coaching staff. It can't just be Kilman who's responsible for everything. Yet, for some reason, they've completely lost their minds. And I actually listened, I don't know why, maybe self-harm reasons, like Pep, but I listened to Wolves Express earlier, and Gary O'Neill's was saying, I haven't become a bad coach. Well, you fucking have. It's plain to see. You clearly have. Because as the more time has gone on, we have got worse in every aspect of the football club, other than Matthias Cunha until 2 weeks ago. So you look at it and you think, well, you coach these players on set pieces. It is your fault. Like that guy said earlier, or lady, that's not Foson's fault. That is entirely down to him. That is his actual job, to coach set pieces and things like this and tactics, which for some reason he could do last season, and we were still not that great after the Coventry farce. But now we're even worse. Doesn't make any sense.
I think what's
that Sky Sports graphic as well had a slight bottom of 5 or 6 different metrics, wasn't it? Which is rock bottom of them all.
For a guy that spends so much time on his iPad looking at stats, how he can think he hasn't become a bad coach is unfathomable. And I think Chris Rogers is bang on the money here. He didn't become a bad coach. He was never a good coach. That's the sort of mood I'm in at the moment. I can switch pretty quickly. I think he has become a bad coach, and he can talk about losing players. And there was that stat about with like, what was it, £200 million plus in player sales since Lopetegui's started, was it? I think was the stat. Irregardless, losing Kilman in the summer does not justify this defensive that fall off. And Stu, I know you won't give any sort of empathy for Gary O'Neill and the situation that he's in, but he had his excuses ready-made last night with the 2 penalties that we should have had. Your thoughts on the Guedes one originally?
I mean, I don't want to talk about VAR anymore, but the Guedes one, I didn't think was. I thought he was just being weak as fuck as always. And then you look it back and you can see exactly what that is one where if it's given, it ain't been out. It's the classic. It hasn't been overruled kind of thing. It wasn't a surprise whatsoever. The Bellegarde one, he treads on the top of his foot, which is painful. So you're gonna fall out to the floor when that happens to you. I don't blame the ref. The ref doesn't see it in real time, but that's the whole fucking point of VAR. As we've said over and over again, why didn't he get sent to the screen to see it himself? Because he can't be saying to whoever was on, I couldn't even be bothered to look. Whoever was on VAR, if he says to him, yeah, I saw him stamp on his foot, then if he saw that, he's giving a penalty, isn't he? Because that is the rules. And he clearly impeded him, so it's a penalty. We can go into the why and all that kind of stuff, but it's not even a surprise. I didn't get mad. I just laughed because that's where we are. But the Guedes one, not for me, Clive. The Bellegarde one is he's stonewall penalty. It's a foul anywhere on the pitch, especially in the penalty area.
See, I'm of the mindset that the Guedes one is enough for me to be given. I think if it's given against us, I'd be like, it's poor defending. There's a clear nudge in the back once he's actually in the area. The contact does start from outside the box, but the actual full force comes once he's in the area. And I don't like to be biased, but we had the exact same penalty away at Fulham last season on Hwang Hee-chan from Tim Ream, where the contact was outside the box and we ended up getting a penalty, and that's exactly the same situation. The Bellegarde one, I was tearing the remaining Hulk Hogan hair that I've got underneath this hat off for that one, because there's a clear stamp. I just don't see how VAR has come to the decision that it's because he's taken a step afterwards and then gone down, it can't be a penalty. Pricey, your thoughts on either of those incidents?
I'm with you. I thought they were both. I know Guedes. Yes, he is weak as fuck normally, but I did still think that was a foul or penalty. Well, like I say, it started outside, so I'd like to have thought the ref would give us a free kick for that one, but the big one is obviously Bellegarde. That just is a penalty. It clearly is. And the worst thing is that they've checked it, they've looked at it, they can see the stamp down on the foot, or the bottom of his boot's gone on top of Bellegarde's foot. It's another one of them now. In modern day football, you've just got to now. Gary O'Neill's got to teach the players just to fling themselves to the floor. Anything like that, just go down, because Bellegarde's gone down in a way and in such a way and tried to carry on playing that it's gone against him and therefore gone against us. Whereas if he'd have just threw himself to the floor and stopped any further attempts to carry on playing the game, the referee and the VAR might have taken a different course of action. But it's just like she said, it's just laughable now that all these negative decisions against us with VAR. What we're in the 20s now or something with this now. It's laughable. Like we put up on screen here, the Paddy Power account. Nearly every Wolves game now involves something from Paddy Power putting an ex post up about us being shafted by VAR. It's just become like night follows day.
Yeah, I'm just still flabbergasted with that Bellegarde, and there's still, for me, with VAR, the subjectivity of it all is just farcical, because there's not even like an equation that's allowed for when a guy the size of Mavropanos is stepping on Bellegarde's foot. The amount of pressure that's going on Bellegarde's foot for it not to be given a penalty. We had an incident away at Nottingham Forest when Podence equalised a couple of seasons ago, where Felipe knees Adama Traore up the flipping trombone, and we didn't get a penalty. And it still absolutely baffles me. A player the size of Felipe can impact a player from behind and go down, and a VAR can't give the decision. It's just laughable. But yesterday was that sort of situation for me where I was so going into investing in the moment that if we lose the game, that Gary O'Neill's going to lose his job, and we're going to be able to start fresh in some form or other. So the fact that the penalty wasn't given, and there was that situation years ago, wasn't there, where Steven Gerrard hit the penalty over the bar to get Roy Hodgson the sack. I was interested to see how Matthias Cunha reacted yesterday, because there would have been a lot of fancy Premier League owners yesterday seeing Cunha line up for a penalty, how that would have ended up. Obviously, we've already mentioned that Thomas Souček put West Ham ahead. Matt Doherty with a bit of it was a decent goal all round. The commentator at the time were giving Sam Johnson his flowers for the absolute launched pass over to Aït-Nouri, to Guedes, who brings it down nicely. Ryan Aït-Nouri puts it on a plate for Doherty, and it's 1-1. A good goal all round, Jeffo. Yeah,
and it's something that we've seen for a long time. And when Doherty was here in his first instance, it was something that he's doing 2 or 3 times a season, and it's again playing to players' strengths. And Doherty's always been one who's been able to pick up goals and have key moments in attacking plays. And it's a fantastic finish, really. I think any forward would be really happy with that one. And it's nice to see us play a nice little bit of football and actually utilise the long ball and being able to turn from defensive to attack really quickly. It's something that we've tried to do a lot of this season, but it hasn't really shown any fruition. So Johnston doing something good for once, and finding Guedes, and the rebirth of Gonçalo Guedes this season, and actually him being a useful team player and getting being another goal involvement is fantastic, really, because if he does get to the point where a new manager's in, he's got another good player there to work with, and Doherty, it's a cracking finish, really. I can't knock it, even though I'm not really too fussed that he's here and involved in the squad.
Yeah, that's the sort of situation that we're in. And as classic Wolves giveth, Wolves taketh away in less than 3 minutes through Jared Bowen. Another sort of situation, Stu, that I mentioned. You don't want to give Gary O'Neill any empathy, but clear foul on Santi Bueno in the build-up.
Probably. It's the kind of thing that you would have got given. Well, normal teams would have got given a couple of years ago when they were going back and reviewing everything. But again, you let Jared Bowen get on his good foot. What are you doing with yourselves? You've got to set. we can't be. We know how bad things are. We know that we don't get decisions, so don't give them any. Just carry on. Just play on. Just reset yourselves and carry on. And I know they went and moaned about it later on. But it's obviously he's you look at the image there, he's all over the back of him. It's clearly a foul. But when it's not given, you don't let him cut inside. It's just stupid again. And it's a great finish. It's not going to get.
Is
Yeah.
it? I
Yeah,
think
I
the
think
keeper should be doing a lot better. I think he's gone with his classic, like he did in the first half. He went for the flipping showboat save, trying to flipping palm it out instead of just getting his hands behind it. He tried it again for Jared Bowen, and he got nowhere near it. And this is what I said earlier. Tom King and Dan Belly must be scratching their heads. They're not getting a game in front of these two clowns that we've had in goal recently. And that's another reason why, as soon as we was linked to him, God, I wish we'd flipping gone for Ramsdale. No, you ain't Ramsdale, Stu, but Ramsdale would have saved that second shot yesterday.
I just think it was too far in the corner for anyone to save. I think
I think he was too slow with his feet.
You give me an excuse to have a go at Sam Johnson, I'll take you. But on this one, I generally didn't think it was his fault. But it's no surprise, is it? And then they lose their heads for the first time in the night. Afterwards. But they're all up for the fight when it's time to complain, but not in the game. So, what's that saying about everything else? And I was more pissed off with that they were more than happy to run to the ref straight away than actually man up and actually do their fucking jobs.
Yeah, that's the sort of situation where I tried to mention it earlier when Price was talking about how Sam Johnson basically just let the looping header go in. Where are the leaders in this team, especially on set pieces? The zonal marking, I don't if are they zonal marking? I don't even know. But where is that person who, under no circumstances, getting their head on that ball, forgetting anything else at that moment? I'm going to be the one that wins that header, because all it seems to be, I'm filling my space in the 6-yard box. If it comes near me, I'll jump vertically. But where's the movement forward and back to get your head on that ball and clear it? And Mario Lamine in that top right-hand picture, yeah. Decision's gone against us. Quick to moan then, quick to show a bit of fight then. But where is it the rest of the game? Because I still think this team is showing effort, but they're just going about it in the wrong way. And just, Pricey, where's the leaders?
Sold. 3 years in a row.
Well, I'm sure we'll get onto Lamine in a bit, but everyone was having a go at Kilman last year for being a quiet captain, like a face of zero emotion. And then we've gone the exact polar opposite now this year. We've got a leader who's been very emotional already on the pitch once this season and is quick to do it again. And as I'm sure we'll get on to shortly, was extremely emotional come the final whistle. But the goal itself, it's just lazy. It's just lazy goals. I get it. It's a foul on Breno. We should have had it. I get that. I understand that. Everyone, any person with common sense can see that's a foul. We've just yet again been shafted there. And VAR was never going to give us anything. You probably didn't even want to look at it, when it comes to checking that. But it's lazy from Guedes as well. He's not made any real effort or attempts to block Bowen coming in. The way Guedes was, Bowen had all the time in the world then to pick his spot. I'm not convinced by Johnson's role for the goal, but I'd have to watch it back. But when it comes to leaders, Lamina, I think it's most people's obvious choice for captain, to be honest. So we're talking now in hindsight over what's happened over the course of the season. He's a polar opposite from what Kilman was. I'm sure O'Neill said during the summer that there was the group that he was looking at for captaincy was him, Cunha. He was looking at Cunha for captain. I mean, for me, that's a recipe for disaster, to be honest. But I can't remember who the third player was. I mean,
Semedo, I think.
The same choice would have been Semedo, yeah, because he's not a hothead. He's a very that's experienced player, has played for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Again, this is probably hindsight talking, really, but you probably would have preferred it to have gone to him overall. But maybe the fact that last year was a contract might have something to do with it. We don't know. But you'd think someone like Dawson, I know he wasn't on the pitch at all yesterday, but I'm talking general terms here. You'd think someone like Dawson would be someone like a leader, but, unfortunately for him, he's recently been made to look all 35 of his years at the minute. It's not been a great season for him.
I don't think the intention ever was for Dawson to give him the captaincy, was it? I think the aim this summer was clear to transition to a back four, and Craig Dawson wasn't lined up for that role, was it? I think, like he said, he would have been everyone else's standout choice for the captaincy with his experience and his know-how and whatnot, and how well Max Kilman played alongside Craig Dawson, because I think they were a good unit at times with Totti as the third centre back, but the captaincy's decision is another example of where Gary O'Neill's gone wrong as a coach this summer. But it's just one thing after another, isn't it? But the way that the captain of Wolves last night reacted at full time with the altercation with Jared Bowen and assistant coach Sean Derry was just another case of the circus running wild, wasn't it, Stu? And Mario Lemina commented on his Instagram earlier on today. This morning, I write this message with great hindsight, and I really want to apologise to all the people who love this club and who love football. I never wanted this to happen on the ground. I've always been a fair player, even in defeat. If something is said, make sure the truth comes out. I shook the player's hand like I always do, and I was grabbed by the shirt and thrown to the ground. I just reacted to a situation that I didn't cause at all. I love my team, the staff, and all the people who make up this club. We are all going to fight harder to overcome this situation. Finally ending with a comment directed at Sean Derry saying, Sean, you already know we are going to fight again and again. I jokingly said he was calling out Sean Derry for a trilogy fight, but Stu, your thoughts on that whole embarrassment live on Sky Sports last night? Because I watched the replay back. There's various fan cam angles of the situation, and something of nothing with Jared Bowen ended up being just another embarrassment.
Yeah. I mean, I almost just went to bed because I was kind of tired. I'd had enough anyway, but something inside me just said, "No, just wait a minute." So I don't know what Jared Bowen was doing though. Why? I mean, it doesn't look like Lemina says anything to him. He just kind of grabs him, and he doesn't seem that type normally.
Feels like Lemina gave him a half-hearted handshake, and Jared Bowen pretty much told him to grow up and act like a captain the way I perceived it. And it's from there they had a shirt swapping moment of embarrassment for both sides. I had a West Ham fan tell me that Jared Bowen was over emotional because of the situation with Michail Antonio, and I ain't buying into that. I just feel that it's embarrassing by both captains, but yet again our captain comes off looking worse.
I mean, you look at some of the things that happened when he was crying after was it the Chelsea, the second game of the season, when he was crying on the pitch?
I think it was the Liverpool or Newcastle game, wasn't
it? It was early on anyway, wasn't it? And you go from crying on the pitch when you're a captain, which is bad enough, and then you do that last. I mean, I haven't got a problem with the passion and all the kind of great. It shows that it shows he cares, but you can't do that wearing a captain's armband. It's just one of the unwritten rules of football. You behave yourself if you're a captain. You don't piss about unless you're a
captain has to lead by example.
Exactly.
And his over emotionalness this season has just set the wrong tone throughout. Like you just said, we want our captains to be passionate and want to give it all and get the win at all costs. But at the end of the day, when things are falling apart, you have to be the one that sets the example that, right, we're going to get ourselves out of this. But the more he gets over emotional, makes a realization that things are falling apart. When your manager can't keep when your captain can't keep his head, what are the rest of them going to be like? And that was the situation last night, wasn't it?
I mean, it says everything. I mean, like I said, if it was anyone else, kicking off and throwing the toys at the pram and showing that they care, great, wonderful. But the fact that it's him, you can't do it. And the fact that, more than anything for me was his friend from Nice who had to calm him down in the end. He pushed Sean Derry away, tried to nut Sean Derry, which is a bad idea in the first place. But it sounds like they did it all the time.
It was a situation with Totti before that.
Yeah,
There was
I was going to
he
say,
pretty much
it's-
told Totti. I think he was going to try it. When he got physical with Totti, I think at one point, maybe pushing him away or giving him some French expletives. But yeah, carry on.
I was just going to say he'd already done the thing with Totti. He'd already pushed his own coach away, and when he's just going, I don't know what he was. It's just red mist, isn't it? He's just completely lost his head, and it's not the first time this season this has happened. And you look at it, you know, all the interviews from last season where he said he's grown up and all this kind of thing, and we all said it. I mean, he was the obvious choice for captain, but when it's one of the biggest shambles in a series of jokes of this season that the standout choice for captain has turned out to be the worst one. And but what do you do then? The only way you change your captain is if a new manager comes in, and then that's not going to happen. You can't change your captain, and it looks like he's undroppable as well. I actually thought he had a decent game, to be fair, compared to what
his effort was there. It's what I keep saying. He was one of the ones I think could sort of come out at full time and say, I've given as much as I can. I haven't shirked my responsibility. If you have a look at the running stats, I bet he was quite high up on our team last night. But it's just what Raymond says. I can't be bothered by Lamina at the moment. It's emblematic, kind of, but still insignificant compared to the rest of our problems. Because you mentioned it earlier, Stu, and I'll come to you on this one, Jeffo. Neil Lewis, Cunha's performance was worse than what Lamina did. For me, we've said it, Cunha's trying to do too much at the moment. But from a tactical point of view, are we setting ourselves up to fail playing him off the left where he's leaving our left wing back open when we're being counter-attacked? He's not doing enough work out of possession. If you want a player like Cunha to be more impactful in a game, surely you play him in a number 10 role behind the striker where he's got the free role to go left or right and pick up the ball when we're out of possession.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to Gary again because he's tried to overcoach him. And you get a player who is such a natural talent and natural ability, and you want him to work hard in defence. I get that. You want all your players to work hard to try and, negate attacks and to try and break things down. But you don't put somebody who's such a mercurial talent onto a wing and expect him to be sort of a player who comes back. And, he's not going to cover a fullback, like you said. It opens up, it gives weaknesses. And when you put things and it's telegraphed weaknesses, anyone can see it. Anyone with a level 1 coaching badge can see that Wolves' weaknesses down the left back, through the left back, and then, your own attacking right-hand side. It's laughable again, and it's silly stuff. And the thing is, if we can sit here and talk with so much confidence about what Gary O'Neill could do to change it, and, we've said it, we talked about going back to a midfield 2. We talked about playing Cunha in a 10. We talked even in the past about Pedence in a 10 previously last season. If we can say with so much confidence on here that things need to be done in a certain way, how can the players have confidence in a manager who wants to set up a system like that and to do it? Because you can't, because they know they've played at high levels. Mario Lamina, who's been chewed out quite rightly for his attitude yesterday, in his altercation after the game. He's played, let's not forget, he's played in the league for other clubs. He's played for Juventus, who are one of the biggest clubs in the world. He's played it for good coaches and he understands his roles and responsibilities. And when a coach wants to put things onto players and to ask players to do things that are not natural and not accommodating for the side, then God help you, you've got to have a lot of attitude and ability to back that up as a manager and as a coach. And we've not seen that. So it's always got to be back to basics. And that's what we need to be. And we need to look at what are the strengths of our side and putting things like that, like Cunha in a slightly wider position and exposing ourselves, removes ourselves from basics. And that's the position that we're in. When you're in a relegation fight, you want to do the easiest things right. And that's not what we're doing.
I mean, you could even, you look at it and you think, well, all of our wingers are shit. They all are. They're not good enough or they're not ready. So our best option, like yesterday when we actually looked all right, is playing with wing backs. So if you are going to play a three in midfield, not them three. I'm not saying play them three because it doesn't work with them three together. But you have got Tommy Doyle, who's invisible now for some reason, and you have got Bellegarde, who could play there. If you play them in midfield three and a front two of Strand Larson, just let Cunha just do what he wants. Just let him roam around. Because he's better just roaming around and having an effective free roll than getting in everyone else's way and compromising the structure, like you just said, Jeffo. I don't know why it's so difficult.
Wasn't like play devil's advocate. It wasn't like in the glory times with Gary O'Neill. Wasn't when we played front three. Cunha was off the left, wasn't it? It was Cunha, Wang, Neto, wasn't it? When that was like the glory time. So he can play there. He can be effective there. He's been more effective this season, in the role that he's got at the moment. Well, not in playing against West Ham, coming way off him off the left. But he is capable of fulfilling that role, albeit with better players around the better system.
I can't argue with that, and I think when you find yourself in a position where you can do something like that and you have a little bit more freedom, say if you're a mid-table side, you could give up sort of those freedoms. But when you're scrapping at the bottom of the table and every point is crucial to survival, then he needs to kind of swallow his own pride and not leave openness for people to exploit. And Cunha, he is maverick, but you need to be a maverick in a controlled way. And bringing him into a position like you say, Stu, as a second forward or in a 10, it kind of, you can build strength around that. You can put wingers in there who are going to track back. Rodrigo Gomez, he had barely any minutes, but he's somebody who's played wing back last season. He's somebody who can protect a fullback. He can protect Ait-Nouri. Using what you know about the players and their experience and what their abilities are, you can start to see patterns and how you could do things on a much more just simpler level. And it's great. We'd all want to just be playing attacking football and out football, but there's a certain point that you get to and you've got to be fucking pragmatic. And we're way past that. I think we're 5 or 6 games past that now.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I feel like he's got a bit of a manager's son vibe with the way that he picks his team at the moment, whether it's crowbarring Lemina into the starting 11, having to play Cunha just because he's our best creative player, but not utilising him in the right areas. I understood his mindset last night, going with Semedo and Doherty in a 5. Let's just try and keep a clean sheet and build our way into a game, get the West Ham fans a bit restless because the pressure was on them to win the game. But the way that he set us up to attack with the wrong players again has come to leaving us unstuck. And I don't know. What was your thoughts on Stranded Larson being taken off after the error price when we were behind in the game? Because for me, whenever you're chasing the game, you have to keep your focal point number 9 on.
I thought that was baffling. Exhibit number 27 of O'Neill, like just one Tom Bowler on the sidelines again. I mean, ironically, I'm sure we started playing more longer balls when we took him off as well. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He's been a really effective target man for us this season. I know there were comments made early on in the season about his fitness, but the last few games I've not noticed any drop off in his fitness levels or anything like that at all. So I didn't see any need for him to come off so early. He come off on the error mark, didn't he? When he came off, that's early time for him to come off, and it's actually someone that we lose from set pieces. We were talking earlier about is there weakness at set pieces? Well, he's probably our tallest outfield player and one of the strongest. So that's a set piece threat that we lose at either end of the pitch. And Geddes didn't really, I didn't think as just like for like replacement, that didn't really have too much of an impact. So I couldn't really get my head around that one, to be honest. As I mentioned before, there's some players that they're just at the minute just currently going along for the ride. People like Rodrigo Gomez, Forbes, Tommy Doyle doesn't get picked whatsoever. this insistence on shoehorning, or having to play Lamina, Andre, and Joao Gomez on almost every game means that Tommy Doyle is just constantly sat on the bench kicking his heels, and that's why his poor run of form just doesn't really get much of a chance to start. I don't know what he has to do to get like a couple of starts in the game. But yeah, it's just with Larson. I think he looked confused himself when he came off. Looking around, as to say, what, me already? I didn't agree with it. I just think it's another roll of the tombola by Gaza.
Yeah, it's just laughable. Raymond's pretty much where I was before kickoff yesterday. What I would give just to see a manager park the bus and grind out a point seems impossible. I think that's where we sort of were yesterday. Just don't get beaten again. It's similar to the Southampton game. You've got to win this game. Fulham, you've beat Southampton. Let's not get beat now. Let's keep the points rolling. Let's just try and get ourselves into a rhythm of picking up points. And we've gone and thrown it away again last night. And just for those who are joining late on the YouTube channel, just to reiterate what John Percy said in his Telegraph article earlier, Gary O'Neill will be given the chance to reverse Wolves' alarming run of results and retains the immediate backing of the club. Wolves have been seeking replacements for the 41-year-old, but it has been decided that Gary O'Neill will receive their support to turn the situation around. The Wolves board do not believe Gary O'Neill is solely responsible for the club's struggles this season and will make funds available to sign new players when the January transfer window opens. There is an acknowledgement that at least one centre-half must be signed in January. It's two for me. Following the £40 million sale of captain Max Kilman to West Ham and the season-ending injury to Yerson Mosquera, Gary O'Neill said, "I am not concerned about my position. Whenever this journey ends with Wolves, I'll be proud of it. I am really proud of the group and everything they've given me. I can only ask them to keep giving their best. We won't give up and we'll keep pushing." This show tonight has been in association with the Sports Social Podcast Network, and FCQUIZ.APP will be back on Friday evening with our match preview for the must-win home game fixture to Kieran McKenna's Ipswich Town. You look at the league table and the fixtures coming up. These are the fixtures that Gary O'Neill said we would win because the bookies wouldn't have us massive underdogs in. We beat Ipswich and Leicester in our next two games, and we're likely looking around the 16th, 17th league position. So as much as people have laughed at me on social media and our WhatsApp groups recently, there is still time to turn this around, whether you believe that or not. Whether Fosun see the light through the darkness and bring someone in like they've done previously and spend big in January, which they may be likely to do, seeing their investment close to imploding, is soon to be seen. But thanks for joining myself, Jeffo, Stu and Price on tonight's show. Please press the like button before you leave, because it'll hopefully give us our channel a bit more exposure. And whether you appreciate us giving up an hour of our lives to talk about the results or not, there's plenty of platforms for you to do the same. Just give us a bit of support and we'll continue to give you this content every day of the week until
we die.
The club folds and we all find non-league teams to support going forward. But yeah, thanks again for joining us. Have a good rest of your week and we'll see you again on Friday. Up the Wolves.
Thank you.